The Fall of Hope. The alien sun beat down mercilessly on Outpost Harmony, a joint human galactic concordat installation perched on the edge of disputed space. Commander Maya Chen stood atop the southwestern observation tower, her dark eyes scanning the rust-colored horizon, where twin moons hung low in the afternoon sky. 6 months on this desolate rock had taught her to read the subtle shifts in the dust storms. Today, something felt wrong. Proximity alert in Sector 7, reported Lieutenant Keller through her earpiece. Probably just another sandcrawler migration. Maya's hand instinctively moved to the pulse rifle slung across her back. The weight of the weapon was reassuring, a constant companion since her days in the Earth Defense Force. Deploy the scout drones anyway. Protocol is protocol. Copy that, Commander. 27 human lives and 43 alien delegates from the Concordat were her responsibility. Maya had never asked for command of Outpost Harmony. A diplomatic posting was punishment for her excessive force during the Battle of Titan, but she took her duty seriously, perhaps too seriously, according to the station's political officer. The drones aren't responding. Keller's voice had an edge now. Something's jamming the signal. Maya's muscles tensed. Sound General Quarters. I want all personnel at battle stations in 3 minutes. But, Commander, the diplomats are in session with the... Now, Lieutenant. The alarm's wail cut through the afternoon heat, sending personnel scrambling across the compound. Maya vaulted down the metal stairs of the tower, her boots kicking up clouds of orange dust as she sprinted toward the command center. She never made it. The first explosion ripped through the western wall, sending chunks of reinforced concrete tumbling across the compound. The second struck the communications array, silencing their distress beacon before it could even activate. By the third blast, Maya was already shouting orders, directing her security teams to defensive positions while herding civilians toward the emergency bunkers. The Varkeen emerged from the dust storm like apparitions, 8-foot bipedal predators with iridescent scales and elongated skulls. Their battle armor gleamed with an oily sheen under the alien sun as they unleashed a barrage of plasma fire. Hold the line, Maya shouted, firing her pulse rifle in controlled bursts. The weapon's recoil thumped against her shoulder as 3 attackers fell, their bodies dissolving into acrid smoke. But for every Varkeen that fell, 3 more appeared. The defensive perimeter collapsed within 20 minutes. Fall back to position Delta, Maya ordered, dragging the wounded Phalanxi diplomat behind a shattered wall. The alien's tentacles were slick with blue fluid, blood or some other vital essence. Maya couldn't tell. Lieutenant, get the emergency protocols running. Keller's response was cut short by a plasma bolt that caught him square in the chest, reducing him to ashes before Maya's eyes. It happened too quickly after that. The eastern barricade fell. The command center went dark. The emergency bunker was breached. Maya fought with everything she had. Her rifle, then her sidearm, then her combat knife. But in the end, it wasn't enough. A Varkeen warrior loomed over her, mandibles clicking in what might have been amusement. The creature's clawed hand shot out, catching Maya across the abdomen. Her armor absorbed most of the blow, but the impact sent her flying back against a collapsed wall. Something cracked inside her. Ribs made it worse. Darkness threatened to claim her, but Maya fought it off. Through the haze of pain and swirling dust, she counted at least 30 human and Concordat survivors being herded into transport vehicles. Prisoners, not casualties. The largest Varkeen, a commander by the ornate patterns on its armor, approached Maya where she lay half-conscious. The famous Commander Chen, it hissed in surprisingly clear standard. Not so formidable after all. Kill me and be done with it. Maya spat, blood flecking her lips. The Varkeen commander made a sound like rocks grinding together. Laughter, perhaps. Death would be merciful. You will live with your failure, human. Live knowing you could not protect those who trusted you. The alien turned to its subordinates. Leave her for the scavengers. Let her existence be her punishment. Maya faded in and out of consciousness as the Varkeen departed with their prisoners. The outpost, once a symbol of interspecies cooperation, now lay in smoking ruins. The diplomatic mission she had been assigned to protect, gone. Her security team, dead or captured. All because she hadn't been prepared enough, hadn't been strong enough, hadn't anticipated the attack. Night fell, bringing with it the bone-deep cold of the desert planet. Maya dragged herself to the shattered remains of the medical bay, her body screaming in protest with every movement. The autodoc was damaged, but still functional enough to seal her worst wounds and dispense pain medication. It wouldn't be enough for long-term survival, but it might give her a fighting chance. "You failed them," she whispered to herself, voiced hoarse from smoke and shouting. "You failed them all." The faces of her team flashed before her. Keller with his perpetual stubble, Dr. Nasser with her gentle hands and fierce intellect, the Phalanxi diplomat whose name she couldn't even pronounce properly. All gone because of her incompetence. For 3 days, Maya scavenged what she could from the ruins: water packs, nutrition bars, a malfunctioning comms unit that occasionally picked up fragments of transmissions but couldn't send any. On the 4th day, a dust storm forced her into the remains of the command bunker. That's when she heard the incoming message. Concordat Security Council emergency session. Survivors of Outpost Harmony attack requested to report. Commander Maya Chen to be held accountable for security failures. The message cut off, but its meaning was clear. She was being blamed, perhaps rightly so. On the 7th day, a Concordat scout ship arrived. Maya hoped for rescue, for medical attention, for a chance to explain what had happened. Instead, the ship's commander, a spindly Viridian with translucent skin that barely concealed its disdain, delivered a formal notice of inquiry. "Commander Chen, you are hereby relieved of duty pending investigation into the fall of Outpost Harmony," the alien said, not bothering to help her to her feet where she sat amid the ruins. "Your presence is not requested at the inquiry. The evidence speaks for itself." "They took prisoners," Maya protested, her voice weak. "My team, the diplomats. They're still alive." The Viridian's skin rippled in what might have been skepticism. "No evidence supports this claim. The Varkeen leave no survivors. I need to find them. I need to make this right. You need to accept your failure, human. The rescue shuttle will arrive in 17 standard days. Until then, you are confined to this planet." The Viridian turned back to its ship. "Though I doubt anyone would waste resources extracting you at all." Maya watched the scout ship depart, leaving her alone once more with her guilt and her pain. 17 days. If the Viridian was telling the truth, and there was no guarantee of that, she had 17 days to survive before a shuttle might come, or she could do something else entirely. The outpost's emergency beacon was destroyed, but the garage still contained a single sand rover with half a tank of fuel. It wouldn't get her far, but it might get her to the nearest settlement, an independent trading post 200 kilometers to the east. From there, she might find information about where the Varkeen had taken their prisoners. Decision made, Maya loaded the rover with what supplies remained. Her body was healing slowly, too slowly, but she pushed through the pain. The faces of those she had failed drove her forward. She would find them or die trying. The rover sputtered to life on the 3rd attempt, its electric engine whining in protest. Maya plotted a course on the vehicle's rudimentary navigation system and began her journey across the wasteland. For 2 days, she drove through endless dunes and rocky outcroppings, stopping only when necessary to rest her injured body. On the 3rd day, the rover's engine finally gave out, leaving her still 80 kilometers from the trading post. "Just my luck," Maya muttered, gathering what she could carry. The sun was setting, painting the wasteland in shades of crimson and gold. She'd need shelter for the night before continuing on foot. A ridge of stone formations offered some protection from the wind. Maya made her way toward it, each step an exercise in determination over pain. The medical supplies were running low, and infection had set in along the claw wound across her abdomen. She was halfway to the ridge when she spotted movement, a shadow detaching itself from the larger shadows of the rocks. Maya's hand went to her sidearm, but her reactions were slowed by pain and exhaustion. 3 figures emerged from behind the rocks, scavengers by the look of their patchwork armor and crude weapons. They were human, or had been once. Their skin was weathered by sun and wind, their eyes hard with the particular cruelty that came from too long in the wasteland. "Well, well," said the largest of them, a man with a scar running from his temple to his jaw. "What do we have here?" "Concordat uniform, but no Concordat protection." Maya raised her weapon, but her hand trembled visibly. "I'm warning you." The scavengers laughed. "She's warning us," mocked the second, a woman with a metal plate grafted to the side of her skull. "Hear that, boys? The half-dead soldier is making threats." They advanced slowly, savoring her vulnerability. Maya fired a warning shot, but the plasma charge went wide, her wounded body betraying her. "That wasn't very nice," said the scared man, lunging forward to knock the weapon from her grasp. Maya tried to fight back, calling upon years of combat training, but her injuries made her movements sluggish and predictable. A blow to her wounded ribs sent her sprawling in the dust, gasping for breath. As the scavengers closed in, weapons raised for the kill, a new sound cut through the gathering darkness, the distinctive whine of a high-powered energy weapon powering up. 3 against 1 wounded opponent, came a man's voice from behind a nearby rock formation. "Not very sporting, is it?" The scavengers whirled, weapons at the ready. A figure stepped into view, a human man in a blackened virus suit that had seen better days. He held a modified pulse cannon that hummed with barely contained energy. "Walk away," the newcomer suggested, his voice calm but carrying an unmistakable edge. "There's nothing for you here." The scared leader snarled. "Who the hell are you?" "Someone who doesn't like unfair odds." The man took another step forward, his weapon never wavering. "Last chance. Walk away." The scavengers exchanged glances, calculating their chances. The pulse cannon could take out all 3 before they covered half the distance between them. With muttered curses, they backed away, disappearing into the gathering darkness. The stranger approached Maya, kneeling beside her where she had collapsed in the dust. His face came into focus, weathered but not unkind, with intelligent eyes that assessed her injuries with practiced efficiency. "You're in bad shape, Commander," he said, noting her rank insignia. "How did you know I'd be here?" Maya asked, suspicion momentarily overriding gratitude. "I didn't. I was tracking the Varkeen raiding party that hit your outpost." He offered a gloved hand. "Name's Thex. Alexander Thex." "Maya Chen." "I know who you are, Commander. The whole sector's talking about the fall of Outpost Harmony." His expression remained neutral, offering neither condemnation nor sympathy. Maya tried to stand, but her legs buckled. Thex caught her before she hit the ground again. "Why are you tracking the Varkeen?" she asked, allowing him to help her toward his small camp hidden among the rocks. "They took something from me too," Thex replied, his voice hardening. "Something I intend to get back." As they reached his camp, Maya caught sight of equipment that went far beyond what a simple scavenger would possess. Advanced communications gear, weapons that looked military-grade, and a small but sophisticated medical station. "Who are you really?" she asked as he helped her onto a portable cot. Thex busied himself with the medical station, preparing injections of antibiotics and painkillers. "Former Special Operations, Earth Defense Force. Now I work freelance. Mercenary. I prefer independent contractor." He administered the injections with practiced precision. "Rest now. We'll talk more when you're stronger." As the medication took effect, dulling the pain and clearing the fog of infection, Maya studied her unlikely savior. There was something in his eyes, a haunted quality that spoke of personal loss. "Why help me?" she whispered, consciousness already fading. Thex paused in his work, meeting her gaze directly for the first time. "Because out here, humans need to stick together. Because you deserve a second chance to make things right. His voice softened almost imperceptibly. And because I know what it's like to lose everyone under your command. As darkness claimed her, Maya heard his final words. Rise. You are not alone. Not anymore. The rise of resilience. Maya awakened to the sound of quiet, efficient movement. Vex was packing his equipment, breaking down the small camp with practiced precision. Sunlight filtered through the rock formation, indicating it was mid-morning. How long was I out? She asked, surprised to find her voice stronger than before. 18 hours. Vex replied without looking up. The nanomids needed time to work. Maya pushed herself to a sitting position, expecting pain that didn't come. She lifted her shirt to examine the wound across her abdomen. The angry red infection had receded, replaced by new pink skin. Military-grade medical tech, she observed. Definitely not standard issue for independent contractors. Vex finally paused, turning to face her. I have friends in interesting places, and enemies in high ones, I'm guessing. A ghost of a smile crossed his face, something like that. He tossed her a ration pack. Eat. We move in 30 minutes. Maya tore open the pack, finding real food instead of the synthetic protein bars she'd been surviving on. Where are we going? Varkeen Fortress, 50 kilometers north. Vex continued dismantling his communications equipment. That's where they've taken the prisoners from your outpost. Hope surged through Maya, quickly tempered by suspicion. How do you know they're still alive? Because the Varkeen don't raid outposts for the fun of it. They're collectors of technology, of information. Vex's expression darkened. And of specimens. Specimens. They've been abducting humans and concordat species for years. The attacks are always surgical, always leaving few survivors to tell the tale. He sealed a container of equipment. Official policy is to report no survivors, prevent rescue attempts, minimize diplomatic incidents. That's why the Viridians said there were no prisoners. Maya realized, anger building within her. The concordat knows and does nothing. Some elements know, others prefer ignorance. Vex handed her a canteen. Finish that. You'll need your strength. Maya drank deeply, sorting through this new information. Why are you telling me this? Why help me at all? Vex was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was carefully neutral. 6 months ago, the Varkeen hit a research vessel. The GCS Prometheus. My wife was the chief scientist. My daughter was with her. Take your child to work day. His hand stilled on the equipment. Official report. No survivors. But you don't believe that. I've intercepted transmissions, seen manifests. They're alive, along with 37 other crew members. He looked up, meeting her gaze. And now they have your people too. Maya processed this, the implications settling heavily. So you're planning a rescue. I've been planning for months, gathering intel, equipment, waiting for the right moment. He tossed her a compact pulse pistol. Your arrival changes things. 2 is better than 1, especially when 1 is a commander with tactical experience. Maya caught the weapon, its weight familiar and reassuring in her hand. The concordat abandoned me. Why should I care about their diplomats? This isn't about the concordat, Vex said sharply. It's about your people, the humans under your command who trusted you to keep them safe. The words struck home, piercing the armor of resentment she'd been building. The faces of her team flashed before her again, not accusatory this time, but waiting, counting on her. Tell me your plan, she said. Vex nodded, satisfied. He unfolded a holographic map, displaying the terrain between their position and the Varkeen fortress. It's not going to be easy. The fortress has defenses designed to repel a small army. Good thing we're not an army, Maya replied, studying the map with new determination. We're ghosts. They spent the day traveling north, alternating between fast marches and careful crawls through exposed terrain. Vex moved with the precise efficiency of someone who had spent years in special operations, while Maya found her strength returning with each passing hour. By sunset, they had reached the outer perimeter of the Varkeen security zone, marked by automated sensor pylons disguised as natural rock formations. Impressive tech, Maya observed as Vex disabled one with a specialized jamming device. How did you get your hands on Varkeen counter-surveillance equipment? Let's just say not all species in the Concordat approve of their non-intervention policy. Vex adjusted the device, creating a corridor through the sensor net. We have 15 minutes before the system compensates. They moved swiftly through the opening, reaching a ridge that overlooked the fortress proper. The structure was imposing, a massive complex of interconnected towers and domes, surrounded by an energy barrier that shimmered faintly in the gathering darkness. Main power generator is there. Vex pointed to a squat building at the eastern edge of the complex. Knock it out, and the barrier falls for 90 seconds before the backups kick in. And then, Maya asked, and then we go in through the waste reclamation system. He indicated a narrow channel that ran beneath the fortress. Not glamorous, but unguarded. Maya studied the approach, mentally calculating angles and timing. The generator is too well guarded for a frontal assault. That's why we're not assaulting it. Vex withdrew a small metallic sphere from his pack. This is a pulse disruptor. Plant it within 50 meters of the generator, and it'll create a localized electromagnetic surge. Temporary, but effective. How temporary? 3 minutes, give or take. Maya raised an eyebrow. That doesn't give us much time to find the prisoners and get them out. We're not extracting them tonight. Vex's expression was grim. This is reconnaissance only. We need to confirm their location, assess security, and plan a proper rescue. Maya didn't like it, but she recognized the logic. A failed rescue attempt would be worse than no attempt at all. They waited until the third moon set, leaving the landscape in near total darkness. Moving with deliberate care, they approached the generator building from the blind spot Vex had identified in the security grid. Plant the disruptor here, he instructed, indicating a maintenance conduit. Then we move immediately to the waste channel. No hesitation. Maya nodded, taking the device. On your mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. She placed the disruptor against the conduit and activated it. The device latched on, lights blinking as it powered up. They turned and sprinted toward the waste channel, counting seconds in their heads. At precisely 30 seconds, a subsonic pulse rippled through the air. The energy barrier around the fortress flickered and died, plunging the complex into darkness. Alarms began to wail as emergency systems activated. Maya and Vex slid into the waste channel, the foul-smelling liquid masking their heat signatures from thermal scanners. They moved quickly through the narrow passage, reaching an access grate as lights began to come back on throughout the fortress. 90 seconds. Right on schedule, Vex murmured, working to loosen the grate. The Varkeen are nothing if not predictable with their systems. They slipped inside just as the energy barrier hummed back to life. The corridor beyond was narrow and dimly lit, clearly a maintenance passage rarely used by the fortress inhabitants. Life signs, Maya whispered. Vex consulted a small scanner. Large concentration 2 levels down. Consistent with holding cells. They moved through the fortress with exaggerated care, freezing at each sound of approaching patrols. Twice they had to duck into service alcoves as Varkeen warriors passed, their chittering language echoing off the metal walls. The holding area was exactly where Vex's intelligence had indicated, a large chamber with multiple containment cells lining the walls. From their vantage point in a ventilation duct, Maya could see dozens of prisoners, humans, phalanxi, viridians, and other species she didn't recognize. There, she whispered, pointing to a group of figures in tattered Concordat uniforms. Those are my people. Vex nodded, his attention focused on a different section. And there's the Prometheus crew. His voice caught slightly. My wife. My daughter. Maya could see the strain in his face, the almost physical effort it took not to abandon the plan and attempt an immediate rescue. She understood the feeling all too well. "We'll get them out," she promised. "All of them." Vex tore his gaze away, consulting his scanner again. Something's not right. These readings indicate a massive power source beneath the holding area, way more than needed for security systems. "Could be weapons," Maya suggested. "The Varkeen have always been secretive about their military capabilities." "No, this is different." Vex adjusted his scanner. "The energy signature doesn't match any known Varkeen technology. It's alien, even to them." A new alarm suddenly blared through the complex, different from the earlier security alert. The Varkeen guards began evacuating prisoners from their cells, herding them toward a large elevator platform. "They're moving them," Maya hissed. "We need to act now." "Wait." Vex grabbed her arm. "Look at the platform." The elevator descended, revealing a vast chamber below. Even from their limited vantage point, Maya could see sophisticated equipment lining the walls, technology far beyond anything the Varkeen should possess. "What is that?" she whispered. "I don't know," Vex admitted, "but I think we just discovered why they're collecting specimens." As they watched, the first group of prisoners, including several of Maya's team, were secured to examination tables. A new figure entered the chamber, immediately distinguishable from the Varkeen warriors. Taller, with smooth gray skin and an enlarged cranium, the creature moved with an unsettling grace. "Phaedron." Vex breathed, his face pale. "I thought they were extinct." "Who are the Phaedron?" "Ancient species, supposedly wiped out in the collapse wars 3 centuries ago." Vex's voice was tight with tension. "They were known for genetic experimentation, biological weapons, things that even the most hardened military commanders considered atrocities." Maya watched as the Phaedron moved among the prisoners, examining each with clinical detachment. "They're using the Varkeen as muscle, proxies to collect subjects. Which means the Varkeen aren't the real enemy," Vex concluded. "They're just tools." The realization shifted everything. What had seemed like a straightforward rescue mission now had galactic implications. If the Phaedron were alive and continuing their experiments, "We need to get back," Maya said. "Regroup. This changes the plan." Vex nodded reluctantly, his eyes still fixed on his family below. Yeah, it does." Their retreat was as careful as their entry, though Maya could feel Vex's reluctance in every step that took him away from his loved ones. Once clear of the fortress and its perimeter, they made their way back to Vex's hidden camp, exhaustion and new information weighing heavily on them both. "The Concordat needs to know about this," Maya said as they huddled around a small heater. "Whatever their policy on the Varkeen, the Phaedron are a different threat entirely." "The Concordat won't help," Vex replied bitterly. "They'll quarantine the entire system. Standard protocol for extinction-level threats." "So what then?" "We just abandon all those people. Your family, my team." Vex looked up, determination hardening his features. "No, we go back in. But not as ghosts this time. As a storm. 2 people against an entire fortress. Those aren't good odds." "Who said anything about 2? Vex tapped a command into his communication device. "I've been preparing for this longer than you know, Commander. I have resources." The device hummed as a message transmitted. "What resources?" Maya asked. "Friends, former colleagues, people who owe me favors." A grim smile crossed his face. "And a ship that can get us all out once we've freed the prisoners." Maya stared at him, reassessing everything she thought she knew about Alexander Vex. "You never needed my help, did you? This was always going to be more than a 2-person job." "I need every advantage I can get," he admitted, "including a decorated tactical commander who has personal stakes in this mission." She should have been angry at the manipulation, but found she couldn't summon the emotion. "So what's the real plan?" Vex's expression softened slightly. The real plan is still to save everyone we can. It just got more complicated with the Phaedron involved." He hesitated. "There's something else you should know." "More good news. The Phaedron aren't just experimenting on their captives. They're looking for something specific." Vex pulled up data on his portable screen. "Genetic markers unique to certain bloodlines." "What kind of markers?" "The kind that indicate psychic potential." He met her gaze directly. "Humans are of particular interest to them because a small percentage carry these markers, including your brother." Maya stared at him. "I don't have a brother. According to your genetic profile in the Earth Defense Force database, you do." Vex's expression was carefully neutral. "Half-brother, technically. Same mother, different fathers." "That's impossible." But even as she said it, Maya remembered her mother's secretiveness about her life before Maya's birth. The gaps in family history that were never explained. "His name is Elias Chen. He was on the Prometheus with my family." Vex's voice gentled. "That's the real reason I sought you out after the attack on your outpost. I need someone with the same genetic markers to access certain areas of the Phaedron laboratory." Maya felt as though the ground had shifted beneath her. A brother she never knew existed. A genetic heritage she hadn't suspected. And a man who had saved her life, at least partly because of what her blood might allow them to do. "You should have told me from the beginning," she said, anger finally surfacing. "Would you have believed me? A stranger claiming to know more about your family than you do." Vex shook his head. "You needed to see the truth for yourself. He wasn't wrong, and that only fueled her frustration. So I'm just a key to you. A genetic passkey." "At first, maybe," Vex admitted. "But after seeing you fight to survive, after witnessing your determination to save your people despite being abandoned by your superiors." He looked away. "Let's just say I've come to respect the person, not just the genetics." The honesty, however belated, counted for something. Maya took a deep breath, forcing down her anger. "Tell me everything. No more half-truths." As the night deepened around them, Vex laid out the complete situation. The Phaedron's search for psychically gifted individuals, their plans to create a new generation of biological weapons, and the small group of former soldiers and scientists who had discovered the truth and vowed to stop them. By dawn, a new plan had taken shape, bolder and more dangerous than their original reconnaissance, but with higher stakes and potentially greater rewards. "Your people will be here by nightfall?" Maya asked, reviewing the tactical approach one final time. Vex nodded. 7 operatives, all former special forces, plus the ship's pilot and medical officer. And if we succeed, if we free the prisoners and expose the Phaedron, then maybe, just maybe, we force the Concordat to acknowledge a threat they've been ignoring for too long. Vex's expression was grim but resolute. And we save the people we love in the process. Maya thought of her team, waiting in those cells below the fortress. The brother she had never known. The faces of those who had died at Outpost Harmony, whose memories deserved justice. "I failed them once," she said quietly. "I won't fail them again." Vex regarded her steadily. "You know, when I found you in the dust, injured and facing those scavengers, I wasn't sure you'd survive, let alone fight." A rare smile touched his lips. "I'm glad I was wrong." Maya checked her weapon, a gesture that felt like coming home after a long absence. "The Concordat wrote me off. The Varkeen left me for dead. The universe seemed determined to bury me in that wasteland." She met his gaze, her own burning with newfound purpose. "But you were right, Vex. I'm not alone anymore. And neither are they." As the alien sun climbed higher in the sky, Maya Chen stood at the edge of their camp, looking toward the distant outline of the Varkeen fortress. For the first time since the fall of Outpost Harmony, she felt something other than guilt and despair. She felt hope, and with it, the unshakable human resilience that had carried her species through wars, disasters, and the vast emptiness of space. The Phaedron would learn what the Varkeen should have already known. Humanity was not easy prey, And Maya Chen was no longer fallen. She had risen, stronger than before. The end.